Meeting to order. At this time, I'd like to ask Mr. Aswell if he'd please lead us in our prayer and our pledge.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for the opportunity to be together today. We ask your wisdom, we ask your guidance, and above all else your grace as we make decisions that affect so many lives. We ask you to continue to bless Levy County, the greatest place to live in the world. Ask this with all your blessings, and we give you all the praise and glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Aswell. At this time, I would like to entertain a motion to adopt our agenda, please.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you very much. I'd like to welcome everyone. Thank you for being here. We've got a great group of administrators. Thank you all for being here today. Mr. Cowart, I'll turn it over to you.
Yes, Madam Chair. So another opportunity to kind of shine the spotlight on a school that's doing some amazing things. And today we have the Yankeetown Sandknights. We have Miss Westfall and Miss McBride here, and I'm going to turn it over to Miss Westfall and Miss McBride. And in case you didn't know, there was a mullet toss past Saturday. So, and word on the street is that Miss Westfall participated and did extremely well. So.
I was planting plants in my backyard. I was throwing sod. They did have a mullet toss. And we actually had that as part of our presentation. I was going to piggyback Mr. Asbell there. We have a brand new teacher on our campus. When you were doing your prayers, we did a resiliency PowerPoint that Ms. Hanlon had us all put together. So every month that we're showcasing a new word, perseverance. So we made one at our last admin meeting, and I passed it off to our lady who's going to be in charge of us pushing that out. And one of our new teachers called me after. She goes, "I got to talk to you. That video that was uploaded?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "It said God in it, that we should rely on God." And I'm like, I go, "Okay." She goes, "We can say God?" I'm like, "In Levy County, we can say God." So I'm tell you, there's a lot of people out there who don't think you can say God. It's cool. All right, we're here for Yankeetown. Thank you for letting us showcase our school today. We would have brought some kids, but we lost our Richardson girls who are on standby, our twins, so it's hard for us to get the kids to travel this far to meet us. We're just going to showcase one of the things today we're going to really talk about that we're pushing our school to is STEAM. But I thought we would just give y'all a state of Yankeetown along with that. So we have our SIP and AVID goals there. Of course, we want to improve every single year. Our focus this year is students with disabilities. We are, when Ms. McBride and I got there 3 years ago, our students with disabilities were pretty much flatline in growth. And of course, we weren't the only school with that. And, due to the pandemic, we missed in school, and you already know a lot of our ESC kids are already behind the ball on that. There was a lot of staff turnover there. We started with a 0. We've moved it up to 14%. Our goal this year is to get it to 25% growth. And then with that, we are putting in foundational goals with our AVID that we want to bring up those goals with kids improving from their end of year fast in 23 to the end of the year fast in 24. We have to at least make a 10% gain with that. And with the AVID part, helping us is adding in the WICR and the strategies of the WICR, and also explicit instruction, which we are doing school-wide. So those are the big components we're looking for this year, and to really support the school. Last year, the first year we got there, we had started off with a 41% ELA proficiency in our school, and that calculated our school grade. We were like 1 point above a C. In 2022 year, our second year, we were sitting at about a 43% is how we ended with our school grade, so we moved up a little bit with a C. This year we're sitting at 63%, and I talk to Ms. Hanlon about this all the time. In the old days, that would be an A, but we don't know what that's going to look like in the wash with the new cut scores. I know Melissa went over that with us yesterday. So we feel like we've made a pretty good gain. I just don't know where it's going to end. So we're waiting to see what Tallahassee does with all that stuff. Along with that, we have brought everything up, our ELA proficiency, our math proficiency, and so good things going on with Yankeetown, and I think with our goals. And we'll see what we come out to be, maybe in aging. So that's how we got to STEAM. Ms. McBride and I went to the leadership conference this past summer at NEFA, and we met a gentleman from Palaca, and McBride, I said, I think that's something we really could build into this community. And so I kind of handed that to her because Palaca told us they started it after school. So we said, how did you get there? Because they're very similar to us in their, you know, their economics there and their kids makeup and being well behind and their achievement level. So he got trapped in an elevator with us, and we're not going to tell you what happened that night, but this is how we got it.
We got excited about STEAM. So I run the After School Achieve program. I have about 45 students at this point. Everybody wants to be an Achieve. As a matter of fact, I had somebody yesterday say, can I still turn in my packet? Yep, come on. And so we figured a way to start to incorporate the STEAM is to do it through Achieve at first. And I've been doing it on Thursdays with the kids, and they absolutely love it. Our first activity was to, I read them a book about an architect who built like chairs. He was like a furniture maker, and he made chairs. And then we studied the different types of chairs that you can have. And they had to build a chair out of, I gave them 10 sheets of computer paper and a roll of masking tape. And they had to build a chair, and they had to build a chair that was sturdy enough to hold a stack of books. And it was really exciting because the chair they thought wasn't going to work held a lot of books. So their predictions were off a little bit, but they were happy to see that, you know, their chair won. And then, so that was them building the chairs, and they were so excited. The one picture on the top left, the books toppled over, and they were just like, ah! So they were very engaged. I had a teacher at every table helping them and kind of guiding them, but they pretty much came up with the design themselves. They were working together to build the chairs, and that was a lot of fun. That was our first project. And then yesterday we did, my picture's a little bit distorted because I try to fit them on there. They built catapults out of popsicle sticks and rubber bands, and they were predicting how far they could catapult a candy pumpkin. And so they had their little prediction sheet, and they had to do their measuring, and so that was a lot of fun too. I showed them, I pulled up YouTube, they have real pumpkin chunking contests with real life catapults. So we watched those first so they could kind of see that in action, and then they built them, and they had a lot of fun with that. So it's been a success, and hopefully you know, getting them into the whole science and building and engineering, and get the whole school excited eventually after we get it rolling in the Achieve. So.
Well, and for the makeup for our science, we started with science. We started with 25% at the end of our first year. So we really wanted to build that science up, and we did that last year. The K through 5 does not have a science lab, so we made this room into a science lab for them. And you know, our middle school has a built-in science lab with ag. So we're really trying to utilize that in the day. We're still working on the schedule, how to get at least every class into the science lab 1 day a week. We added our new teacher. She came to us with a 5.9 science background. She graduated the Crystal River Environmental Science School, and then went on to UF and graduated. By the time I got her, I had no openings except first grade. So I said, if you just believe in me, we'll let you teach science. So we're letting her take the lab over, and she's a phenomenal first grade teacher, and she didn't even, you know, that was not her aspirations when she got there, but she's loving it, and so we're hoping to really continue to engage that. We also, with Yankeetown, have a trust fund with the Moore. Mr. Mark Moore used to really support the school there, and over the years has just pulled away a little bit. We have reconnected with him, so his crew comes in with money from the Knott's Foundation and kind of supports us in math and sciences. So we have a couple of those labs where his team comes in and they start doing some hands-on science about every quarter. We try to run the kids through his program. And we hired a new ag teacher. We feel like the third time is the charm. It's very hard to ag teacher in Yankeetown. Most of them, especially newly graduated ones, want to go on to be to big schools, and they want to do big ag and FFA. We just don't really have that at Yankeetown, but we ended up finding a gentleman, I think he worked maybe here before in Bronson, in carpentry, but his background, he had moved to Ecuador and was doing, kind of living off the grid, and he worked on aquaponics. So he has put that in for us, and we decided that our focus there with our community would be, we try to incorporate what surrounds us, the golf, and the kids are familiar with all that. So he is quite busy out there. I just look out there, I hope he's not building a still or anything, but he's got tanks and worm bins and, well, there's a bunch of stuff. I peek up and everything. But his goal is to actually, he's working on a system that's going to use tilapia, and we have this earthworm bin, and it kind of all cycles through, and it's going to support our raised garden beds. And we have teamed up with the Withlacoochee Gulf Preserve. They're teaming with us to get this thing off the ground. And when I went to their last fundraiser, Duke Energy was there, so they connected me up with some grants they have as well. So we have all this in the air. We're just trying to get it all to come together. And then just showcasing real quick, we brought, just our extracurriculars really blossomed into going. We have a volleyball team, girls and boys basketball started yesterday for tryouts. We have a phenomenal cheerleading program. My cheerleading coach, she is a local realtor, and she's quite the sales lady. At the mullet toss, they had, FFA went there to fundraise with the concession stand. They did quite well. I think the whole numbers come in, but they were extremely busy. But Ms. Sharkey thought while she was there, I'm just going to rent my girls out to cheer on mullet tossers. So she charged $10 for the girls to root for you when you toss your mullet. So she ended up making several $100s. I don't know if it's legal, but it worked out well. You got to be creative in Yankeetown. So parent engagement is always a focus for us there, because that is a issue with, the community. We have a lot of community involvement. We wouldn't be able to do some of the things we do without our community. But our goal this year was to really get our parents in the door. We started off with 2 PTO members. One was Sandy Watson, and the other was the retired secretary. So we grew that the last 2 years. I think we had 20 at our last PTO meeting. And then we started a thing called Coffee Chats that we do in the morning. That's in our lounge right there. I think they had almost around 20 last Friday, or Friday before. One of the things that we found that has been a good incentive to get our parents in the door, we offer a huge Christmas program there, and so we built in that you can be a part of the Christmas program, and we will be glad to support your family, but you need to have 10 service hours. And so our numbers have gone up greatly. We've seen people in there that we've never seen. So it doesn't cost them anything. They just have to come to a PTO meeting or come to a coffee chat or help at the Fall Festival this Friday. They could help at the mullet toss. Several of them were there. We have a roster. We sign them in, and that goes towards them being a part of the Christmas program. Because the Lions Club, Masons, Women's Club, HCI, IRC, they spend a lot of money on these kids, and I think every kid gets about 10 Christmas gifts a year, and I just felt the community should be given, the parents should be given back a little bit to that. And then one of the other, we just did a parent conference night. The first year we did it, we set it up in the cafeteria so that we're there to support. So a lot of times we need to be in groups for protection. But we decided our cafeteria model works well. We would do that at Williston Middle High School. I was there. We had 84 students come in for conferences last Thursday night. We had 92 scheduled, but 84 came. And so it was very beneficial. We were able to put the report cards in the parents' hands and, get them to team and buy in with us. So we found that to be great. And I think there's one more slide there. We talked about the mullet toss. There are people designated on the campus that attend these local auxiliary meetings, because it's very important to the community that we're present at their meetings, and they have a lot of meetings. They're retired. This year, the focus of Yankeetown is the 100th year of Yankeetown. I think Mr. Coward is speaking at the kickoff. And we have the Lions Club. Our fall festival is this Friday. Lions Club Seafood Festival is on the 17th. They incorporate our students and they let them design the cover for that, and they get paid $100 if they choose their artwork. And then we have the Christmas parade coming up as well. The last piece of parent communication, we thought, how do we get our parents to know what's going on in the school besides just hearing it out? Because, a lot of that is just them hearing, and sometimes the people that are spreading our good news is not always sometimes the most positive ones, but we're winning the fight there. We started a new parent edition of The Buzz. We started the TV show called The Buzz. We probably should call it the Standout Buzz, that might be a little better. So we started the first ever parent edition, and we pushed it out last week, so we thought, what if the kids actually did a presentation to the parents, and they could receive it on our online or on our Facebook. And we don't have to watch the whole thing, but you can, Morgan, yeah. So we just had the kids put this
Seton
together.
School presents The Morning Buzz. Hello, parents and guardians.
And that's good, we don't want to push it. But what we did is, we thought if we could get out what's going on in our school, maybe, we're trying every way, whether they get a monthly calendar, they get this presentation. We go, not a lot of them are at the meetings we go to, but we thought we'll just keep pushing it out to them. So that's us. I don't want to take up another 5 minutes.
Share those parent
We're tired, we're tired. Well, we didn't get a good presentation because we're so tired.
What are the coffee chats?
The coffee chats are the second Friday morning of every week. Our lunch buddies to pull the parents in, and that's another, they can earn 2 hours if they come eat lunch with their child. Those are the first Friday of every month. The staff just loves those. But it is good, it grows, and the parents are right there. We have a lot of club volunteers from Lions Club and Wings, so they come and sit with our kids who don't have parents who come. So it started this really big thing. So it's the first Friday. Coffee Chats is the second Friday morning of every month. And they grew so much last week, we had to move it to the cafeteria this next one. But we talked to a couple of our parents last year. We're like, how do we get you to come talk to us? And they were uncomfortable coming to they thought, a very formal PTO SAC. So I said, well, what if we just sit down and have coffee? They don't know it's the same thing. There's not a sign. They still sign the same.
Our car line lady gets them out of their cars.
Yeah, all over. We have free donuts. So that has been successful. They're right there. They get out. We had several fathers pull over, so they got that extra 30 minutes. We try to keep it under an hour, but we're all kind of happy. So, but it was good. We got a lot of feedback from them the last time, and so I think it's a winner for us over there.
Thanks, y'all are doing great things.
Well, board members, as you can see, so Mrs. Westfall has done a great job, and she's got a really good team that she brought in with her. And obviously, Ms. McBride is one of those valued team members. So,
I'm a little embarrassed of her socks.
It's crazy sock day, and she's like,
I was
you're not
like,
going in
"Yours is
like
dress
that."
up
I'm like, no, I gotta wear my hamster socks for the kids. See, we all participate. She was dressed in her sports gear yesterday. I was very proud of her.
but Ms. Westfall's done an amazing job of connecting with the community, and the community's getting behind, and you see all of the support that the community is there, and with that school's grown enrollment. So it's definitely a reason of Ms. Westfall's hard work and her hard work. So Ms. McBride had amazing Algebra 1 scores last year. I believe we were
100%.
100%. I thought that's what we were. So
Up there.
kudos to her. So she's really brought in some people and connected with some people that are a long time there in the community. So with Ms. Watson and different staff members.
We
So
brought Ms. McCarthy back. That's been a big plus for us because, him having experience at Bronson in the past and also in Marion County schools, some of the lower performing schools, he knows what that kind of community is like. So he's been a huge asset, I think, with building relationships with parents as well.
thank you, Ms. Westfall.
Thank you.
Excellent presentation. Thank you very much.
Get the candy.
Bye. We'll have an update from Mr. Bennett.
Let me see if I can get it.
morning, members of the board.
Good morning.
Recently, it's been requested that we share with the board a little bit of an update on the Traversa and student ID card system. So I thought what we would do is, it's been over a year since we first started this project, so I thought we would start by just a really quick 3-minute recap of the video that kind of gives a basic outline of the system, and then kind of dig into some of the details of how things have progressed since then.
How can you enhance safety, improve communication, increase efficiency, and provide oversight of your operation? One solution does all this. Tyler Drive. It's one-of-a-kind software loaded onto a unique semi-rugged tablet, which is mounted on a school bus near the driver. Fully integrated with Tyler Student Transportation software, Tyler Drive provides turn-by-turn directions to each scheduled stop, manages student ridership, records pre- and post-trip vehicle inspections, and electronically logs employee hours. First, your transportation team develops routes for your district using your Tyler Student Transportation solution, Traversa or VersaTrans, designating the safest, most efficient way for more students to be picked up and dropped off each day. When a driver logs into a Tyler Drive unit, their assigned route is uploaded using the exact route and stops you built. Tyler Drive provides the driver with route-specific directions to each stop. Follow district policy and safety guidelines. It can provide visual directions or audio only with a screen blacked out while the bus is in motion. These electronic directions are significantly safer for drivers and riders compared to paper route sheets, as they allow the driver to keep both hands on the wheel and both eyes on the road. They also make it faster and easier to onboard new drivers or teach sub-drivers a new route. At each stop, Tyler Drive shows the names and photos of the students who are assigned to board or leave the bus at this location. As students enter or leave the vehicle, they scan a radio frequency identification card, or RFID, over the Tyler Drive card reader. This creates a record of when and where the students stand. The driver is also alerted to students attempting to board the wrong bus or exit at unassigned locations. As each student scans their car, their parent or guardian receives an alert on a secure integrated mobile app. Tyler Drive has an internal GPS, allowing you to manage vehicle location in real time, or track and trace the vehicle location, speed, and heading of the vehicle at earlier points in time. Before and after each run, the drivers can undock Tyler Drive and take it with them as they perform the pre- and post-trip vehicle inspections. Tyler Drive provides a customizable checklist and can require a signature from the bus driver to help ensure a thorough inspection. Tyler Drive also manages employee timekeeping. Staff, including drivers, aides, and mechanics, can clock in or out on the tablet so that they don't have to go to the depot to punch in. With Tyler Drive, you can enhance the safety of your students, improve communication, increase efficiency, and provide oversight over your district's transportation. Tyler Technologies. To learn more, visit the web, tylertech.com/TylerDrive.
Okay, so basically everything you saw in that presentation is part of the package that we have been integrating. The one little piece that we have kind of taken a little bit of a different take on is we have not pushed out the Karen app. And the reason for that is we had an existing initiative that was very robust with Remind 101 that was already in use and has been fairly successful. So we have been going with that for the parent communication for the buses so far. So everything else that you saw in that is something that we have as part of our package. Just as a reminder, this is an example of what one of our cards looks like. The one change that we have made on that since last year, well, really two, we don't use the full first name in real life, just as a security feature. And we have shifted away from using the Clever badge on the front. Instead, we have a sleeve that they slip in and they can print the Clever badge to put in the back. And the reason for that is that Clever badge is new every year, but the card doesn't have to be new every year. Everything else in the card is fully functional unless you want a new picture or something. And so we felt that it was more effective and prevent us having some timing from printing issues to eliminate the Clever badge on the front, just have them slip it in the sleeve on the back. So that's the two changes that you see there. So this was the original timeline that we shared with you all. So you can see we had an integration process that started summer a year ago, in summer 2022, and was finishing up this fall. So basically what I'm here to report to you, if you could click again, is that all of those steps have been completed essentially. We are really in a fully operational stage at this point, and if you would go ahead to the next slide, we can dig in a little bit on to some of the more recent actions that we've done as part of this. It's been a big integration with a lot of different parts. So back in the spring, all of the equipment was installed on the buses. That included a physical mount installed on each bus, and then tablets that lock into, they can be removed, but they lock into those physical mounts. And we also integrated the online system with Skyward. So the Traversa system itself, if a student enrolls in a school today in Skyward, tomorrow they'll be in Traversa. It updates every night. If their picture's in Skyward, if their picture's updated, it's going to be an updated picture tomorrow. So all of that was integrated in the spring. The other thing we did in the spring was we built all the routes. Now the routes we built initially were the routes for the spring, and as you know, every year we have some significant turnover in terms of students and bus riders at the beginning of every year. We'll talk about that in a minute. We had a full training for all drivers in May of 2023. It was very successful, I thought, wouldn't you say? And then the other thing we did in May is we actually did some trial runs in every community. We picked some specific routes in every community, and we got the badges because we had them at that point in time, and we did some practice runs on some of our routes in every community just to make sure everything was operational. So we did that in the spring. Over the summer, we pushed out the ID card printing machines and the ID card prints that we had already out to the schools. And we trained school staff on how to use those printing machines for printing new cards for students. This fall, we started, when the school year started, we started with Traversa to start the school year. And we did ride-alongs, quite a few, for all the communities, the bigger communities. We did several ride-alongs in each of the larger communities in the district. And that was just to help the drivers see what they were seeing, help us understand what challenges they were having, and help them understand things they can do to help make things right and work more efficiently. The other thing we did is we went ahead and we established an online appointment calendar so that the drivers can schedule appointments to come in and work with a member in our department, Emily Joyner, to update their routes. For whatever reason, we have this phenomenon. You may have several months over the course of the summer, but for whatever reason, most enrollment changes happen in the week or two leading up to or right after school starts. And so there's always a little bit of a lag between when students enroll in a school and figuring out what route they need to be on, where they need to get off. And it takes a while to get those routes updated because that's often not happening until right around the start of school. So we've been working through that. We have a few routes still to update, but we have updated a substantial number to make them current for the current school year, and that's in the system. The other thing that has initiated this school year, we laid the groundwork for it last year, is all of our cafeterias in the district are currently using the student ID cards. And I've spoken several times with Mrs. Oberst, our cafeteria director, and she loves it, her staff love it. It helps them in a couple different ways. To start with, it makes the lines typically go faster. And the other thing it does is when students use their cards, if they have any kind of an allergy or food sensitivity of some sort, and that's in Skyward, it pops up the warning for them, rather than if they were using the clickers, they don't get that warning. So it's helping us keep our students safe in regards to food allergies. They've recently purchased some tablets that allow them to scan, so like when they're out at the breakfast carts, they can even use their cards to scan on the breakfast cart. So she's very happy and has been helped by the card initiative. The other thing that we have going on is October 13th was the last day of Survey 2. So this was our first real-time survey where we overlapped with our old method, which was paper route sheets, and our new method, which is Traversa. So when it comes to reporting for surveys and transportation, that normally takes a week or two after the survey date certain before we actually do transmit the initial data for transportation. And that's just because we don't get the final data from the bus drivers until a day or two after the survey. So it takes some time after that to review everything, do the cleanup that has to be done before we transmit. So we're almost done with that at this point. We have about 8 to 10 of our routes are left to process, but we do have some initial data that I'm going to share with you in just a second about how that worked for survey. The other thing that we have been working on this fall, our goal has always been to make this something that can work in our media centers as well for book checkout. And our district has a very long-standing relationship with a vendor named Surpass, which is the management software for our libraries. And they're a smaller company, so they don't have as many integration options as some of the large ones out there. But in seeing and this request from us, they have jumped on to the possibility of setting up an API, and they're actually beta testing an API integration with us. We were able to successfully test that API about a week and a half ago. And so basically we're waiting on the company's feedback on next steps to get Surpass rostered through Skyward, and so that they can use the cards in the libraries as well. I'm going to pause there before I get into the data from the survey. Are there any questions about anything I've shared so far?
All the buses have it in their whole county. That's wonderful. That's great news.
All the buses have it. We have, I believe it's 5 extra tablets, maybe actually 7 now because we collapsed a couple routes. So we have about 7 extras, so there's some out there if we need to, if one goes down. We've had a couple, 2 or 3 or 4 mechanical issues with some of the tablets, but for the most part, they've been doing very well. And I've personally ridden routes that are in areas that are known for very poor cell reception, and I've been paying particular attention to how well they pick up the cell service in those areas. One was Manatee Road area, and it never skipped, it never froze. It seemed to do very well in those areas. So I've been pleased so far. We can see real-time data on where our buses are at any time when they're deployed and have the tablets on. So that's very helpful. The other piece of really good safety information that it gives us is that whenever a child is logged onto the bus or logged off the bus, so to speak, we get time, date, and location stamps for that. So we actually had an instance earlier this year where we had a student whose parent called the school in panic because they were missing, didn't show up and didn't get dropped off by the bus. And so the school administrator, this happened to be a Wilson student, was able to log into the system and find that time and date stamp with a location on it for when the child got off the bus. And we found that they had actually gotten off accidentally at one of the daycares in town. So we were able to find a student using the system already. So that was very positive, I thought. With that, why don't we look at some comparisons here. Okay, look first at the left side. So like I said, we don't have fully finalized data from our October survey yet. But on the left side, if you look back at last February, the last full survey that we had, we used paper route sheets in Skyward to do our reporting for transportation. And on February 2023, survey 3, we reported to DOE 3,165 bus riders based on those paper route sheets. Now, if I flip over into survey 2, again, I don't have complete data yet, but based on what we're seeing just in total record counts, if I look only at the data that's in Traversa, we had 3,141 students that logged onto the bus during the survey window. So you can see we're only off, even for our first survey, we're only off by about 20 records, and that could represent natural fluctuation in bus riders. We have been seeing a gradual decline slightly over time in bus riders since COVID, so it could be natural. We'll know more when we finish and finalize the data. So the good thing, and the thing that I, from a state reporting standpoint, really like about this system is, and where I see this going is, we have the paper route sheets. We have Traversa now as well. When you have an auditor question whether or not, say they're looking at a paper route sheet and they question whether or not something is completed correctly. Maybe the driver didn't sign or date the route sheet correctly or something. They typically allow what's called alternative forms of validation. So basically what that means is there some other documentation that you have that proves that child rode the bus? Well, now we're moving into an era between Traversa and paper route sheets. We have an alternative form of validation for the first time. And so far it looks like it's tracking pretty closely to what we would have on the paper. So that makes me more reassured that we're going to have many fewer instances where an entire route could be voided for transportation FTE because someone didn't sign or date something correctly. We have another form of validation now that we can use to support that. So I'm going to turn it over now for the last couple of slides to Mr. Masters, and then we can go from here.
I appreciate Mr. Bennett's heavy lifting that his department has done to help get this program initiated. Are you familiar with the term technology native? I saw a little clip of a lady bringing her toddler into a waiting room, and the toddler had a tablet. A lot of them do. But shortly into the visit, the toddler noticed a magazine, and she went over and got the magazine, and she sat down and took her finger and thumb and tried to spread one of the images. When she saw it didn't work, she threw the magazine down and went back to her tablet. Well, I don't want to alarm you, but I'm not a technology native. So I am quite fluent, but it's a challenge for those of us who did not grow up with computers. I'm saying that because here we have the data of bus driver usage, and I may have some drivers just a little bit older than me. So they're struggling a little bit. The little red piece of pie there, that's what you're supposed to have if you're on a diet. But anyway, it represents one driver. We have roughly 50 routes, so 2% is roughly one driver. And we have a driver that has merged 2 routes just recently. And actually, her husband was the other driver, and he's gone out with a medical issue. So she's just using one of the tablets. So one of the tablets is not recording usage, which is 1802, bus number 1802. So that's just a little bit of a glitch in the data there. But we're riding along, as Mr. Bennett mentioned, and working with those who are struggling. When I first, on a rare occasion, I have an opportunity to ride a bus if we have a driver out. It doesn't happen often, but anyway, I had a student who was helping. It was a little middle school girl, and I just noticed she was doing a great job of giving directions where to turn and where to stop. We had just recently installed the tablets, and I had not become fluent in them yet. But as we went along, I noticed she was beginning to crowd me a little bit. She was standing right there by me, and I glanced over and I was going to ask her to step behind the seat screen there when I noticed that she was looking over my shoulder, reading the tablet, giving me directions. So I thought, now, if she can read the tablet, I can too. So I've gotten pretty fluent in the tablet, but our drivers are struggling a little bit, and we're giving them the support to be successful. I think we're off to a very good start, and I love that the data is showing that it is being effective as far as recording the attendance of the riders. Every 28 days, the drivers come in for their bus to be thoroughly inspected, and during that time, we sometimes have professional development or things that they're catching up on while their bus is being worked on. And so, with Mr. Bennett's help in his department, Miss Emily is helping the drivers to update the information on their tablets and the accuracy of the stops every 28 days when they come in. So it's constantly improving, and we're making good progress. At some point, there will be messages sent through the tablet. We have the radio that every bus has, but there are areas, as Mr. Bennett mentioned, out by Manatee and down south toward Yankeetown, and farther east that we can't get through on the radio really well. So it'll be convenient being able to message through the tablet. An alert will come up on the tablet, and when the driver stops, then they will be able to check and see what the message is, and they'll be able to reply back with the tablet to our department. Also, trips, we run an average of 40 to 70 trips per month in addition to the routes. And so eventually the trips will all be on the tablet. So they'll leave going to Jacksonville or somewhere, and the tablet will give them directions exactly where they're going, including an address for them to follow. We've done that a few times already. Do you have any questions for me?
Mr. Masters, how, have you heard from the bus drivers? Is there any negative feedback on like distraction of entering on the tablets when the children don't have their cards? And how quickly, like the little ones, I mean, there's bugs, I get that with everything. But the bugs being worked out on getting the little ones not to lose their cards, and then what does that do to the bus drivers when they don't have their cards, and how do they enter it or not enter it?
Right. So it gets to be a matter of timing. Yes, it could be a distraction. The driver has to focus on the kids getting off the bus and getting away safely and securely. Then they can glance down to the tablet and see, did all of them go yellow, meaning that they are all unloaded, or were there 5 kids got off and only 3 of them went yellow? Then they would manually remove the last 2, but they would do it after the kids were safely away from the bus. So yes, if they just spend all their time looking at the tablet during the stop, it would be a safety issue. So that'll be a part of our professional development to have film showing what it looks like to focus on the stop, or what it looks like to focus on the tablet. We can't focus on the tablet.
Right, yes, sir.
Can I add just a couple things to that? So, one, when the bus is in motion, they're not seeing in and cannot enter loads or unloads from students. That only happens when they pull up to a stop, come to a stop, and what they call a stop card comes up, and that's when they can do that. The other thing that I have seen is if you have bus drivers that have lots of little ones on the bus, some of those bus drivers also have like a safety patrol or an older student available, and some of the ones that I have seen that have been very successful have tasked one of those students to help the younger ones do that process, and that has helped tremendously on the buses that I've seen.
And we still have the yellow card system. So in addition to their scan card, the pre-K and K still have a yellow card attached to their shirt. And the driver removes that and makes sure that that pre-K or K student matches up with the person at the door that has an ID, and they show it to the camera, both sides. So we know wherever pre-K and K student gets off, we have a picture of who they got off with, and we have a picture of their ID. So we have multiple steps built in, trying to assure that the students are put into the hands of their parent or guardian. Any other questions?
If the bus drivers can't make it to Miss Emily, is there a time frame too where she can travel to them and fix their tablet and go over certain things with them?
She's been good to work with us to do that, and also Joe and Janet Neal in the office, they're able to do that as well. If it's just like right now, Miss Emily's pretty engaged in entering the data for this cycle report. So we are able to update as well. but Emily is doing most of that.
Thank you.
All right. I feel very good about the program. I feel like it's going to be a continual improvement for attendance of the ridership, but it will also be a benefit, as we knew it would, for sub-drivers getting on the bus to know the route, even if they weren't able to run the route several times in advance of an absence. They can run it just with the tablet. Thank you.
That's a great update. Thank you very much. Item number 7, our request to advertise for air conditioning at Bronson.
Mr. Mack and Mr. Frankie Lamb coming forward, Madam Chair.
Good morning, Board.
Good morning.
As you all know, I took over for Brandon Eastman as the purchase coordinator.
Congratulations.
Frankie Lamb, thank you. I know most of you, I think, pretty sure. Cameron, I haven't talked to you very much, the rest of the time. So what we're here today, I'm here for 2 different items, 7 and 8. We'll worry about 8 in a minute. So 7 is we want to request to advertise for RFP to replace the AC at Bronson Elementary at the cafeteria. Obviously, this is my first time, so I'm relying on Matt for some of the information. And at this time, if you have any questions, that's who I'll refer to as Matt.
Mr. Heber, how old is that?
22 years.
Ain't no way to say it.
We've been saved.
Probably the cost in Freon is already,
It's a very good point, yes, ma'am. We patched on it and had some struggles the last year or 2, and we just feel like it's time to upgrade. And it's a very large system, and and we usually do all of our in-house change-outs, but it's beyond our capabilities.
So you would like to go out and advertise for that new air conditioning unit. Thank you. So that's a request. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
second.
A motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Frankie.
Yes. Okay.
Mr. Stockman coming forward.
How are y'all?
Wonderful. How are you?
Good. As I said earlier, I'm here for this docket 8 also. And this is a request to advertise RFP for sidewalks for handicap access to, I think, a lot of playgrounds and covered areas and stuff like that. And again, I don't really have the information, so any questions?
So where are we doing the concrete and the project?
There's several places in the district. We've got Williston Elementary, Williston Middle High School. At the elementary school, there's some at the school itself, from the cafeteria out to the playground, basically. At the high school, we have the football field. We have going from the ticket booth to the bleachers and restrooms to give a complete handicap access. And the baseball field, same situation, from the bleachers to the restrooms, and it ties in with the concession stand because that's where the restrooms are. At Chiefland Elementary, we have a good bit going to the hardcore play areas, the basketball courts, to the concession stand, over to the bleachers beside the track, and to the playgrounds. And at Chiefland Middle High School, we have to go from the bleachers to a handicap accessible restroom. And this all become necessary due to an audit from the state DOE, the Office of Equal Educational Opportunity. And they visited Bronson Middle High School, Cedar Key, Chiefland L, Chiefland Middle High School, Williston L, and Williston Middle High School. Done a audit, hadn't been done in 25 years, and so these are the deficiencies they found they found others naturally. Most of it was due to signage, not having proper signage in some areas to direct handicapped students or staff to certain areas, and a few with some grab bar issues, not adequate in some of the restrooms, but we've resolved all of those. But the scope of this work, we had to wait till we can get a time, and we're hoping to have it completed over the Christmas break, everything. And so we have to go out to bid to get this done, and it's something that's required from this audit.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Is there any chance, you saying the wheelchair access, the new playground at the Cedar Key, the walkway next to that kindergarten portable?
Okay.
Because that would be the only way that a wheelchair would get to that playground, because there's just stairs out the back. Can that be looked at as well?
Sure, we can, something that needs to be, initiated by the principal. And,
Okay.
And, with a route with their, you or them, or whatever.
Yeah,
but
I was
mean,
just thinking,
They need to be involved.
it hit me that that's the
And we
area.
can start a discussion, about what we can and can't do there. This, what we're doing now is required stuff, and so,
And we can take a look back at that audit because they visited Cedar Key and see, so, yes, ma'am, we can look at that and see. But
Thank
these are
you.
neat, these items right here are items that were deficiencies on the Office of Civil Rights, so audit, so we need to definitely get these moving as quickly as possible.
and we're concerned, but with our policies and state statutes meeting the financial threshold to have to go out to bid, so we can't take a chance on it, going and getting bids and then having to do it again. So that's why we're going to bid. Hopefully it'll be less.
Do I hear a motion to approve, go out for bids?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
I'd
very
just like to
much.
say I appreciate the opportunity.
We're good. We're happy to have
And
you.
I know Brandon had some big feet to follow, but hopefully I can get there. Okay?
Thank you very much. Item number 8,
Ms. Rollins?
Ms. Rollins. Number 9, excuse me.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I am bringing back the instructional materials board policy to you again. This is probably the third or fourth time you've seen it in the last couple of years, and that's just because the state cannot get enough of passing statutes around instructional materials. So what I want to highlight for you are a couple changes. This is definitely a minor round of changes compared to previous times we've brought it before you, but I want to draw your attention to it. So the first thing to draw your attention to is to remove or not to remove. And this, we had to get nitty gritty in our policy about if we were to have an objection from a parent while we're going through the review process, do we remove that book from anyone being able to access it? And the answer is kind of twofold. If the challenge material is in a course, it lists those course statutes there. What those courses are required instruction courses, so like health education type courses. If it's a material that's being required for that class, then it remains available because those classes are required instruction. All other materials though, if sexual content is found in that is part of the objection, then it is removed while the objection process is taking place. So it's kind of if it's for this course, then it stays. If it's not, then we would remove it. So there's a little bit of language added to our instructional policy around how to follow that. So that's one of the areas that's primarily been changed. The next big area is whose decision is it as far as who gets to decide if it gets removed. And so this is a very simplistic path for you to follow here. The language in the board policy is a lot lengthier. but I kind of gave you the gist here. It starts at the school level. The School Materials Review Committee would take that objection and review the material and make a decision and make a recommendation to the principal. The Materials Review Committee is not the decision maker, they make the recommendation. The principal is the decision maker. If the parent doesn't like what the principal decides, or the citizen doesn't like what the principal decides, then it comes to the district level committee. The District Materials Review Committee also makes a recommendation to the superintendent, but the language there is very much so that that recommendation is basically what the superintendent goes with. So they're kind of one and the same in the law. If a parent doesn't like that, then it comes to you as a school board appeal, and then you would make the final decision using the recommendations from the school level and the district level committees. Beyond that, if a parent or citizen does not agree with the decision, then a special magistrate is appointed. And the school board is the one who pays the bill for that. So, which is very interesting. But that's kind of the pathway. I pray that we never arrive on such a pathway, but that is kind of just a general overview for you. And so all of the language around that got altered a little bit. If you're looking in the thick document that got linked for you from Angela, page 18 to 23 in there is where you'll see all of the kind of shifts in that pathway. On some other minor changes that you'll see in there, timeline as far as number of days someone has to review it, things like that. There were some minor tweaks in that. The state also came down and was very specific about who should be on the District Materials Review Committee and how that committee is made up. So we altered that language in our board policy. A change that we chose to make, not statutory, is the rubric change. We had a NEFAC specific rubric that was in there. We chose to insert the DOE sample rubric because that's now what NEFAC is using instead of their own version of a rubric. And then finally, a big change in the appendices is the objection form itself. So the state actually said this is the template you shall use. So it's very specific to, you can't alter any of the language on it, anything like that. So the only things you'll see, that starts on page 40, is you'll see we had to kind of be specific to, there's a part 1, part 2, which is just basically a regurgitation of our policies around this, straight out of the instructional materials plan, and then the rest of it is the state template for the form itself. So it is word for word exactly what the state came down with just last week. So those are the prime time changes. Nothing else really was altered because again, you saw this document in July, you saw it earlier last year, so you've seen it several times. So we try to keep on top of the changes as they come. But the big reason I think we needed to bring it for you today is specifically the objection form itself, because that is the state is saying this is the form it's already up on our website in lieu of you passing this today. But I do, if you have any questions for me. Just on the record for everyone in Levy County, we have had no objections in Levy County. We have not banned any books in Levy County. So there's some myths out there around that is in fact the truth. So, and I only pray that continues.
I would also like to say, so Ms. Rollins has done a phenomenal job with this, along with taking on the task with library books, in classroom library books, and also we're very fortunate that we have 2 other individuals spread out throughout the county, Kimberly Baker and Amber Philpott, that help with that process of vetting. I'd also like to be on the record as stating that I've asked and never been answered if there is a DOE list of books that they would like removed. So that is solely at the district's discretion, and there is no guidance that is offered on that question.
Regardless of repeated public records
Correct.
requests.
Correct.
We get several requests that ask us what we've done with the state list, and we're like, it's no state list, we don't know what you're talking about. So, but yes, I am still, just for your information, I am still in the process of approving classroom libraries. I've got about 30,000 more titles to go. So I'll let you know when that's done, that we are doing what we can to be in compliance. So.
Thank you very much. And so we need a motion on this?
Yes,
Correct.
please.
Okay, board members? So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you for all your work. We do appreciate that. Number 10, Mr. Lott.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I also want to thank Ms. Rollins because, as you know, we've introduced 15 new policies. It really could have been 17, but there are 2 policies that she has incorporated within the materials handbook, so we didn't have to have 2 more policies. But we did put 15 policies before you. This is our review. The intent, again, is to bring those back before the board November 14th for final approval. So at this point, were there any questions or concerns or any changes that you wanted to make to the policies that I have previously introduced?
Any changes, anything? No?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lott. All right, number 11, our public comments. Anybody would like to address the board or anything they'd like to say? We appreciate you all being here and thank you very much. Do I hear an approval of our minutes?
I move approval.
Second.
A motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Minutes passed. Thank you very much. Our consent agenda, I'll start with Mr. Asbel.
All my questions have been answered.
Ms. Boyle?
Mine as well. I spoke to Mr. Cowart yesterday.
Thank you, and I have spoken to Mr. Cowart too, so do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Consent agenda passes. Our finance items, do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
And a second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes for the finance. Thank you very much. Mr. Cowart, do you have any comments for us?
Yes, Madam Chair, so we'll be rescheduling our Cedar Key school visit, so we can have more attendance. So we know we've had a couple board members that are out, so we just scattered today, so that way we can make sure we can showcase and give Cedar Key an opportunity to see all of our board members. There was a reference on the cut scores, and I know Ms. Lewis has stepped out to get on a call. I'd like to point out that as the state board met last week and as they went and adopted cut scores that will obviously, we know, affect graduation rates. They give what the concordance scores would be and all the things that go with that. There was 300 plus teachers that worked on developing the cut scores and the process. I believe one of our very own, Aaron Williams, was one of the teachers that went down and was a part of the group that worked. And so very, very appreciative that we had somebody from Levy at the table. Then after those recommendations were made by teachers, there was a 13-person panel, of which 2 superintendents. One was an effect superintendent, Ted Roush, was on the panel, along with Polk County's Fred Hyde, and along with 11 other individuals. And out of that, 12 individuals, including the 2 superintendents, made recommendations, of which there was 1 individual involved, a parent who made recommendations which were in an opposite direction of where. And so those recommendations that were made by the 1 parent were the recommendations that were adopted by the commissioner. So seeing all that, we've heard before of how the goalpost gets moved year in and year out. Yes, we want to improve. We want to give our students success and pathways. But in a time of change, it surely seems like it would have been prudent to have the ability to, with a new testing platform that is supposed to reduce, that would give us just a little bit less change. And I think that's one of the things I would encourage us as board members. And when we have everybody seated here in November, we'll be talking about our platform. But there's definitely a outcry from school-based teachers, admin, district, board members, superintendents, stakeholders, that maybe we don't have as much change and we allow things to settle, that as you make great change, that sometimes that leads to failure and not having the opportunity to develop a plan and move forward. So I think I've said what I need to say on that subject about cut scores, and I'm all about accountability. I'm all about that shining the great works that our Levy County teachers are doing and our students are doing and our staff here at the district level are doing, whether it's school improvement days and more, we're getting opportunities to support our teachers. But I am humbly begging that people listen, that we need a breath and just take a pause and take a beat to this. So that being said, I'm going to step off my soapbox for a minute and just say I'm going to tout JBE and Wes and not to steal Mr. Asbell's thunder, but it is that time of year of fall carnivals, and it was really, really good to see both in person and the pictures of the participation of parents, students, teachers, having those things after hours, and we know that's outside of the scope of day, so just really appreciate that parent involvement and what that means with that. So, and then along those lines, so very excited. It's a great week for sports in Levy County, so it won't steal the thunder, but the Lady Red Devils repeated as district champs in volleyball, and will be at home on Friday night, and I know Miss Brookins has some volleyball news so that she can share also about the Indians. So, but just appreciate all the hard work that our staff goes and does after hours, so those times. So,
Thank you very much. I'll start with Mr. Asbell.
I don't have a whole lot. I would just kind of reiterate what the superintendent said. I think the folks at Bronson Elementary are doing a fantastic job reaching out to our community, getting involvement. In my opinion, the schools are the center of a community, schools and churches. And when you get them involved when you get the community involved, you see success. And they are doing a fantastic job at the elementary school getting folks involved. And the Fall Festival is always a big event. They have a huge turnout, and they are doing more things along the lines of what we saw Yankeetown doing, involving the community, and I think that should be commended. It's important, and get that parent involvement, even get involvement from people who aren't parents. Just the community. Community gets behind the schools. It's amazing what can happen, and we're looking forward to continued good things in both our schools here in town. But they are doing an excellent job. And that's pretty well all I have right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Boyle?
Just give a mention to all the clubs and the different grades at Cedar Key, how they worked so hard during the Seafood Festival this past weekend, and they did well. It was very busy and it was a lot of fun, but they worked hard and they did well. The volleyball team did make it to districts, the girls. It's been I don't know how many years, but it's been a while. It's been a long time. But they played very well this year, really, really together as a team. It was nice to see that. And the Fall Festival for Cedar Key will be this Friday. And it's great to get some new ideas from Yankeetown with PTO, because it is necessary for community and the parents to be involved, and it's nice, I think, as a parent to know you're being listened to, and I think that helps a great deal, especially when you have little ones in school and big ones. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Yes, Cedar Key was really busy this weekend. So I'm glad they did well, and for the school too.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful news. Appreciate Ms. Westfall's presentation. That was great. She did excellent in all the good things they're doing down there. That's great to hear. Chiefland High School and Chiefland Elementary, they're celebrating the Red Ribbon this week, and a lot of activities and a lot of involvement in that, and all the dressing and everything that goes along with that, so they're all excited. Chiefland Middle High School had a very successful production of Grease this past 2 weeks, and just sold out shows. And Max, you enjoyed it?
I certainly do. Able to score some tickets at the last minute.
Oh, good. So, yeah, that was wonderful. And, yes, we are very proud of the volleyball girls that will be participating at the regional tournament this Friday night. And they've gone far and doing real good. Saw them the other night in their little pink outfits, so that was cute. But that's all that I have, and if there is not any other business.
Madam
Mr.
Chair,
Howard?
if I could have one thing, so I want to thank Frankie, so Frankie being promoted, so appreciate him joining. So obviously, Mac recently received a promotion also with them, and so would just also like to publicly talk about Joe Wayne, so appreciate him and what he's meant to our district. So, and I know Mr. Masters has left big hands, so to fill, so be working on your Apple skills. But Mr. Joe, we appreciate and look forward to all three of them. So well-deserved, very loyal employees that have given a lot to Levy County Schools. So
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Yeah. If there's not any other comments, meeting adjourned. Thank you.